choosing yourself can sometimes make us worry that we're being selfish. Well, you're not. Hi, my name's Catherine, and today I'm talking about choosing yourself. Well, what is that? That's really living your authentic life. It's nothing to do with being selfish. If you are a people pleaser, you will have spent your whole life pandering to everybody else's needs and making sure that everyone else is happy. But what about you? You matter too, and choosing yourself doesn't mean that you are a selfish person. I know it's hard because sometimes some of us may have been brought up in a way of being told, don't be selfish, always think of others, always put other people's needs before yours. I get that. That was sort of how I was taught. And so I grew up thinking that if I ever did anything for myself, that I was being selfish. But today we're learning that that's not true, because actually it's important to tend to our own needs. Our life is just as important as anyone else's, and really we ought to give our life the respect that it deserves. And what's the saying? You can't pour from an empty cup. Because the thing is, if you are a people pleaser or have those tendencies, you will know how exhausting it can be just to cater for everyone else, and then you go on for years and go on for so long, and then you suddenly hit burnout. And that's not really a fun place to be. So what we have to do is we have to get away from that feeling of we're being selfish. Also, we can sort of have a fear that being selfish might produce conflict. And again, if we're people who avoid conflict or by any means, then we're not going to want to do something that might cause conflict. So what is choosing yourself? Well, choosing yourself is learning to understand what your needs are. Because you can get so swept up in people pleasing and caretaking for other people that you don't even recognize what your needs are. And also for some people, they can be trapped in relationships, and even if you are in a really unhealthy relationship where the other person can treat you really badly, you still have a feeling of guilt at the thought of walking away, at the thought of choosing yourself. So we're going through a process. Well, hopefully we are all together. I know I am. I'm what I would term is a recovering people pleaser, because I have seen people who adopted that way of thinking where you always put everybody else first. And actually I've seen how that can lead to bitterness. It can lead to resentment. It can lead to becoming a martyr. And I don't know about you, But I certainly didn't want to go down that road, because they're not great qualities to have, are they? So we're going through a period of rebirth. I think we often go through periods of death and rebirth in our life. So generally, when we're going through difficult periods, we're facing things that are very hard, but we come out the other end stronger. And to me, I feel that that is like a death and rebirth. And I think that if we are going through a rebirth from our people-pleasing ways of being, then we are going to have to leave some of that old self behind. Yeah? So choosing ourselves means understanding and identifying what our needs are, yeah? And therefore also learning to lay down boundaries. Really tricky for me, learning to lay down boundaries, because I'd never done it before. And I felt like I was being mean and doing something really wrong by putting boundaries down. But boundaries are different to putting walls down, yes? Walls are when you completely shut people out. But boundaries are when you're just saying, this is what I allow in and this is what I don't allow in. Boundaries are protecting your peace. So we understand our boundaries, we understand our needs, and we understand that by having needs and wanting to carry out those needs, we are not being selfish. We also understand that we are not responsible for other people. You see, it can be very hard actually if you've always grown up with a certain mindset. When someone's sad, when someone's down, when someone's struggling, you take that on you. You take their emotions, their sadness, and you put those on you. Yeah, and you feel responsible. But the truth is you are not. And okay, we can annoy people, we can upset people, but we are not responsible for how they are feeling day to day. And it is not our responsibility to make them feel better. So for example, you might have a situation where someone is in a relationship that they don't want to be in anymore. Their needs are not being met. They are just giving out and giving out and giving out. And they are not being considered. Yet, because they're so selfless, they don't want to leave that person because they're worried, how will that person cope? How will they cope without me? They won't cope without me. They're not going to be able to function without me. And so therefore, then you're left in a situation that you don't want to be in out of feelings of guilt. But Our life is so precious, and I don't know whether you have a faith or a belief or whatever, but I think, well, God gave me this life. Now, am I going to sacrifice my life for the sake of another? Because ultimately, even if you do stay with someone, if they're in that mindset anyway, your presence isn't going to make them happier. They're just going to have that emotional punch bag around who can soak up their emotions and their anger. It's very hard, I do know, but so important to think about ourselves, so important to recognize that how precious our life is, and so important to make the right choice. So what is selfish? Okay, if we're thinking about choosing ourselves and worrying about what coming across as selfish, I was thinking, well, let's have a look. What is a selfish person? So a selfish person is just someone who thinks about me. Me, 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 me. And I'm sure you've all come across selfish people. Everything is just about them. Whether this will bring them, what will this do for them? Will this make them happy? Will this make them comfortable? How will this affect them? And they just have no empathy. They just can't see out of that little sort of box around their head filled with me, 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 me. And they don't consider, oh, if I do this or this or this, how does that affect someone else? It's all about me. And that is what a selfish person is. But if you're choosing yourself, the difference is that, yes, sometimes there will be times where you say, actually, this is what I need to do for me. Yeah. So I am choosing this for me. But another time I will do this for you. Yeah. So you're not all about you. You are capable of making choices and putting other people's needs ahead of yours, but when the time is right. Yes? So for example, if you're creating a new business and you've got to put the hours in, and your partner's getting disgruntled because they're like, I never see you. And you say to them, well, look, I'm just in the process of setting up a business. And for a short period of time, maybe just a few months, I am going to be around less and I am going to be working really hard. But at the end of all that, if my business is really successful, you will also reap the benefits of that. I will share that success with you. Yeah, so it's like selfish is where you just think about me. Yeah, but choosing yourself is where you're also respecting your own needs and understanding that your life matters. Because I know there are so many people out there who just don't even consider their needs, don't consider that their lives matter. They may have been so worn down by other people who have not recognized their worth that they don't even feel worthy enough to think about their own life and what they should be getting out of life. But we're going to change that. So put those people-pleasing tendencies away and make sure you are choosing you. Okay, that's it from me for today. So I would love you to give me a like. It really helps my channel so much. And push that subscribe button. And do write me a comment, because I always love to hear from you. Finding that peace within so we can send all that wonderful, nourishing love out. Okay. Have a great day. Bye.